Hey y'all, this video is sponsored by Discovery Plus. Discovery Plus is a new streaming service with over 5,000 hours of true crime shows and investigations. This includes a new special that just dropped that I cannot stop thinking about, Onision in real life. This series explores allegations leveled against Onision by women that met him online. Onision became a YouTuber in 2006, and he has accumulated 366 million views and 2 million subscribers. The special is incredibly compelling and you'll want to know every single detail. It truly is heartbreaking to hear from his father Randy Daniel and his ex-fiancée Shiloh. She is so brave for coming forward with her story. The special is 3 parts and I bet you're going to want to binge watch all of them at once. It is so shocking. I'll link below how to sign up for Discovery Plus. You won't want to miss this. And now into the video because I am back and I have more Let's Not Meet stories that I'm very scared to read today. I picked out 3 stories that seem really interesting and I can't wait to get into them, so we're gonna hop right in. I'm also gonna lower you down a little bit because I feel like I got a lot of headspace. This first story says, creepy man that watched me from outside my bedroom window. A little backstory. My house is a 3-floor house, and because it's located on kind of a slope, the back of the house has 2 floors and the front has 3. Behind our house there is a hill, and on that hill is our backyard. It's a very small hill, and we use it for growing trees and flowers, and because of that, it's pretty covered up. But it's not fenced off so everyone can get in. This has never been a problem before because we live in a very quiet neighborhood. It's kind of a village, and everyone knows each other. My bedroom is on the back side, and technically it's on the 2nd floor looking onto the hill behind. The windows in my bedroom are big, like really big, and they have a seat, but they're also really high off the ground so only tall people can sit in them. The man started showing up 2 months ago, October. It was really late, or early if you like 5 in the morning, and because I'm a night owl, I was painting in one of the seats on the window. The windows were pulled back so I could see the moon, and the window was open a bit. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw a flash of light, and like a reflex, I turned my head and looked out of the window. It was really dark, and because we don't have lights in the back, the light was really odd. It was moving slowly, and that's when I noticed that it was a flashlight and someone was carrying it and walking really slowly towards the steps to get to our back door. When the person got closer to my window, I saw that it was a man and he had his hood pulled over his face so I couldn't really see his face. He was really tall and he looked well built. I came to my senses pretty quickly and I moved from the seat and closer to my bed, which was opposite of the windows. The dude noticed this and stopped in his tracks and looked directly up at me. Both of us just stood there and looked at each other. The only thing I could see clearly was his mouth, but my blind self forgot her glasses and I couldn't see anything else. I froze and just moved my hand to turn off the fairy lights, the only light in my room, so he couldn't see inside, and I walked slowly to the door and opened it. I ran to my parents' room, but I realized my dad had already gone to work, so I ran back to my brother's room. We'll call my brother Dan. Dan was confused for a few moments, but when I screamed that someone was watching me, he got up pretty quickly and ran to his window. His room is also at the back of the house so he could see outside. He saw the man and ran out the door and into the backyard with his baseball bat. When the man saw Dan, he jumped and literally sprinted away. Now, my brother's a scary looking dude. He's tall and bulky and has a beard that pretty much covers his face, so I really understood that the dude just teleported away. Dan shooed me inside the house. I locked the doors and went to look around the house. I woke my mother up, and when Dan came back, saying the dude was gone, we sat in the living room till daylight. When my dad came back, we told him everything and said I should sleep in the living room for a couple of days. A week passed and I returned to my bedroom. There was no sign of the dude, we just thought that Dan scared him off. We even joked about it, saying that Dan scared off the devil himself. It was November the 2nd time he showed up. It was 4 in the morning and I was in bed studying for an exam. My window was open even though it was November because I'm a smoker. Don't judge, I'm trying to quit. I heard rustling and crunching of leaves like footsteps. I immediately turned off my fairy lights and got up to look out the window. This time I could see him clearly because my dad placed solar lights in our backyard. Even though the light was faint, I could see the man's face clearly now. He was dressed in dark clothes and he had his hands in his pockets. He was grinning like crazy, but what creeped me out the most was his eyes. They looked dead, and they were staring directly into my room. I was sure that he couldn't see me because the lights weren't on, so I walked over to the window seat and I tried to see him more clearly, thinking maybe I will recognize him. That's when I froze and stopped dead in my tracks. His eyes followed me all the way to the window. This dude could see me. I was still frozen, thinking what to do, when he raised his hand and waved at me and started walking towards my window. I came to my senses and ran out of my room and into Dan's. He got up quickly this time and ran out to the backyard and started chasing the man, followed by my dad. I went into the living room and sat there with my mom waiting for Dan and my dad to come back. When they did, Dan said he chased the dude 2 streets away from ours and that the dude got into a red car and drove off. We contemplated calling the police but decided against it because of past experiences with our police. Bad. Really bad. They don't care. After this, I rearranged the furniture in my room so if the man came back, he wouldn't be able to see my bed from the outside. I wasn't really scared of the dude coming into the house because we use bolts and we have bars on the windows at the back of the house, but it's still scary for someone to watch you from the outside. The 3rd time was 5 days ago. This time it wasn't late at night or early in the morning, it was 4 in the afternoon, and I was alone in the house. Both my parents were at work and my brother was out somewhere. Classes for the day had finished and I was just sitting in my chair listening to music. My curtains were pulled down so the light didn't come into my room during lectures. Something hit my window and I jumped up, but I didn't get scared. One of my cats had a habit of climbing up to my window and hitting it until I open it so he can get in. He's small so he can fit through the bars. Thinking it was the cat, I pulled up the curtains only to come face to face with the man. I screamed, letting go of the curtain and falling back onto the floor. He was so close to the window that I could make out the color of his eyes, dark brown, almost black. I scrambled onto my feet and ran downstairs to the back door, locking it and bolting it. Half the door is glass so I could see him walking towards it. Next I ran to the front door and locked that one too. By the time I made it to my parents' room, I was shaking like a leaf. I sank onto the floor between their beds and the wall and I just sat there, knees to my chest for what felt like hours, but it was only 15 minutes or so. I remember that my phone was in my room and I had to go and take it. I summed up all the courage I had and walked back to my room slowly. I walked in and immediately looked out the window, but the man wasn't there. I felt relieved and I quickly took my phone and called Dan. He picked up immediately and I told him the man was outside again and he told me to stay on the phone with him, go downstairs and call the police from our landline and that he was on his way home. Just when I started to walk out of my room, there was a tap on my window and I looked up and saw the man standing on the small hill throwing a rock at my window. I yelped and ran to the landline and phoned the police. The dispatcher said that police officers will come as soon as they can, but because my house was far away from the city, it could take a while. The woman asked me if all the doors were locked and told me to hide in a room where the man can't see me. So again, I went to my parents' room and locked the door and stayed on the floor. I could hear the man walking outside the house and throwing rocks at the windows, and I started shaking even more. The fear hit me the hardest when I heard banging on what I think was the back door. Dan and the woman were saying things to keep me calm, but I was calm apart from the shaking. I just told them to get here faster. After maybe 15 minutes of staying on the floor and hearing the man walk around, Dan said he was on our street and that he could see the man at the front of the house throwing rocks at the windows and trying to open the front door. He hung up on me and I could hear him yelling outside, but I still didn't move. I heard running and realized that he started chasing the man. After a couple minutes, I heard a car pull up onto our driveway and 2 people talking. I looked out the window and I saw 2 police officers. They rang the doorbell and I walked down to the front door. They identified themselves and asked if I was okay. I told them I think my brother's chasing the man. One of the officers asked me if they could come in, but that's when I heard Dan talking to them and I opened the door and ran to him. I hugged him and didn't let go of him until after I explained everything that happened to the officers. Apparently Dan had chased the man into the woods where he saw him get into a different car from the last time, but one without a license plate. I gave a description of the man to the police and they said that wasn't much to go on, but they'll do their best. It's been 5 days since that incident and I'm having terrible nightmares, but the man hasn't shown up again, and I pray it stays that way. My dad has started on building a fence around the house and that's a bit of relief. I sleep in the living room on one of the couches with Dan on the other couch. He hasn't left my side since the last incident. The police haven't updated us, but I think it's still way too soon. And they were also so uninterested in my story that it makes me think they won't investigate any further. And I don't really care as long as the man doesn't show up again. So creepy dude that stared at me from outside my bedroom window and tried to break in, please let's not meet. That is terrifying. Absolutely fucking terrifying. That is traumatizing. And can I just say I'm in love with your brother? I am absolutely in love with your brother. He is like amazing. I am so sorry that that happened to you, and I really hope that nothing has happened since because the story seems a little bit older. You said it was like 2 months. 2 months ago was October, so this was like a while ago, kind of. So I'm hoping that nothing happened to you again, but if something did, you have to keep us updated. You have to. But I hope you're okay. I really hope you're okay. And I hope you can sleep in your bedroom sometime soon because I would hate sleeping in the living room. Okay, and this next story says, violent customers can ruin lives. A few years ago, I was acting/management at a haunted house. Our haunted house had the option for a hands-on experience, nothing like McCamey Manor. We believe in safe words. While this meant the actors can touch you, you cannot touch us. We trained months for it so nobody gets hurt. This particular night, I was feeling really drained, so instead of playing my usual vampire aggressor role, I opted to play Freddy Krueger's victim in the boiler room. The boiler room was basically a long hallway, then a simple chain link fence that you had to walk around, but there was a black sheet on one side so you couldn't see through it, with a bunch of metal pipes and barrels everywhere. It was the night before Halloween, so it was busy. We were lucky if you had enough time to reset and grab a drink of water before the next group. Sadly, the actor that played Freddy had it even harder since he was in a full silicone mask that he had to remove before taking a drink. That sucks ass. So some groups I would be acting alone. That was the situation for this particular group. Before they even entered my room, I knew this group was drunk. You could hear their voices slurring, and as soon as they passed the separating curtain, I could smell the tequila coming off of them. Drunk customers are the norm, so I jumped out from my hiding spot and grabbed the first customer with a glow stick necklace, signifying hands-on. I tugged him around in my frantic, terrified state for a moment. I then let go and quickly went to the other side of the fence so I could jump out and scare them again. I was standing there waiting when all of a sudden I felt breathing on my neck behind me. I turned around to see the same customer I was just manhandling behind me. Before I could even tell him that they aren't allowed to climb on the sets, he suddenly had me by my hips and lifted me up. I let out a loud scream, my true scream, and thrashed in terror. The man dropped me on a metal barrel, my tailbone hitting the lip, and then groped me and tore my shirt and yelled, I'm scaring you, in my face. Before the man could destroy my bra as well, he was suddenly yanked off me by my favorite security guard, S. S had been working with me for so long that he knew the difference between my acting scream and real scream, and was there immediately. S dragged the man out of the building, but somehow the man got free and got a hold of a metal pipe. He hit S in the head once, knocking S to the ground. The man went to hit him again, and S pulled his gun and shot a warning shot, promising the next one will be inside him if he so much as breathed. S and the other security guards then handcuffed him to a fence outside as they waited for the police. I wish I could say I never think of that anymore, but my life changed that day. The man damaged a lot of my nerves around my tailbone, and now it feels like my leg is being ripped out all the time. I really miss the old me who could do back bends and splits, but now I am bedridden. So awful customer who destroyed my life, let's never meet again. Oh my god, I am so fucking sorry. Oh my god. First of all, this was like the first thing that came to my head. I'm like shocked that these security guards had guns. Like, I feel like that's not a common thing. So that is shocking to me, and I feel like that could have potentially saved S's life. The second thing is, how could you get so angry at a haunted house, like when you're getting touched, when that's what you signed up for? So angry that you're going to attack the people who are trying to calm you down. I don't get it. I don't fucking get it. And the fact that you are like forever injured by this, like you are forever damaged by this, that is horrible. That is fucking horrible. It's not like it's going to be a memory, it's something that's going to affect you, and I'm so sorry for that. Okay, and this is the last one I'm going to read. It says, my pervert shop lead that killed someone. I used to work at the Walmart Automotive Center. I was a service writer, so I'd write people up for oil changes, tires, etc. The shop lead, however, let's call him James, made me very uncomfortable from the beginning. James was a little bit older. I want to say in his 40s, possibly even 50s. James always made me uncomfortable from the beginning, but I kept shrugging it off that I'm being dramatic or something. But since I first got hired, he's always made little sexual jokes, but I just laughed and didn't think too much about it. I do have a tongue piercing, and he always made comments how he wanted to know how a tongue ring feels on his junk. Those comments always made me the most uncomfortable. But again, I tried to ignore the comments and not think too much about it. Until Halloween night. On Halloween, it was about 6:30ish, I believe. We started getting ready to close up for the night. I was inside waiting for customers. There was a window I would stand by and communicate to the shop guys. Well, James poked his head in the window right next to me and asked if I wanted a kiss. I asked, what? And he asked, do you want a kiss? I was really confused at this point. I was like, what do you mean? And he asked again, do you want a kiss? I said no. And he dropped a candy kiss on the counter. I laughed a little and I was like, oh, okay. He then started talking about how he could see it in my eyes that I did want to kiss him. I was very uncomfortable and didn't say much because I didn't know what to say. He kept talking about how he could tell I really wanted to kiss him. He then walked into the office and asked me to come into the office with him. I stood in the doorway and asked what he wanted. He told me to come in and close the door. I was immediately grossed out and asked him why. He just kept insisting I come in and close the door. I kept asking why, and he started undoing his pants. That's when I walked away immediately and texted one of my coworkers / friend that I was working with at the time and told him James is being weird. Please don't leave me alone with him. So my friend Dylan started staying inside and just hanging out with me. After Dylan started hanging around me, James told Dylan to go turn in the till. I chimed in and said I would go with him. James told me no, I needed to stay back here, which I didn't want to, but he was also the shop lead and I'm supposed to listen to him. So I did. I stayed back while Dylan ran the till up to the front of the store. The second Dylan walked away, James walked to the back room and poked his head out and told me to hurry and go back there with him. I asked why, and he said we have a few minutes, we can have a quickie before Dylan comes back. I was extremely uncomfortable and awkward and didn't know what to do. I started playing with a fidget spinner and telling him how I can't get the fidget spinner to balance on a candy kiss. He got frustrated and told me to hurry and go back there with him, and I kept trying to change the subject, telling him the fidget spinner won't balance. Dylan eventually got back and James went back to doing his own thing. As we finally closed up and all started to leave, James whispered to me that he would grab my boobs if there weren't cameras. But as we walked out the main doors and he held the door open for me, he grabbed my ass as I walked out. That was all in one night. After that, he was still doing things that made me extremely uncomfortable. He unbuttoned his shirt one time and rubbed his nipples to me, and then he told me he did it for me, so now I need to do it for him. That is so fucking gross. I did report it to my main boss and I wrote a statement and everything. It took him a couple months before they even checked the cameras. But after they checked the cameras, they talked to him and made him put in his 2 weeks. Work became even more awkward before he was gone because he knew I reported him and retaliated against me in many ways and after he was forced to quit. Eventually he was gone and that was such a relief, but later on I found out that several years ago he went to prison for quite a few years. All my coworkers knew, but I didn't. I looked it all up and found news articles about how he was in a drug deal and ended up killing a guy for a drug-related issue along with hooking up with his girlfriend at the time. I'm glad I didn't know that while he worked here because I would have been more scared to report him. To my old shop lead that sexually harassed me for months, let's not meet again. I'm so terrified of people. It's like unbelievable. Like that is so fucking scary. I genuinely feel so awful for all the things that happened to you guys, and I really appreciate you sharing the stories with us. If you guys have any other stories that you would like to share with me or the community, I will have my subreddit linked down below as well as my email if for some reason you're not able to post on the subreddit, so you can send it to my email. I feel like these stories were like really, really bad. Like, all the stories that I read in these videos are always really bad, but I feel like these ones were, like, extra bad. I don't know what it is about today, but I have, like, a really bad taste in my mouth from these stories. But I hope you guys enjoyed, I guess. But I'm gonna go. I love you guys. I will see you in the next one. Bye! Also, if you didn't see my last video, I got my extensions out. I was about to say I chopped my hair, but I didn't chop my hair. I just took out my extensions. And I'm, like, absolutely in love with it. My hair feels so healthy and so nice. And she also did a color remover, so some of the black came out, so it's like a darker brown now. But I am like obsessed with it. I can't stop playing with it. Even though like it's weird not having any hair. Like I keep going like this and trying to like feel for the extensions and they're not there anymore. But I like it. I love it. I think I might go lighter though. I have an appointment for next Friday to go a little bit lighter. She's gonna do like a whole bleach on my head just so we can get it to like my natural color again. But I don't know if I want to do that. I think I might keep it this dark brown for a little bit and then maybe go lighter when I get bored of this. I'm not really sure. But my hair is back in a place where it's healthy enough where we can bleach it and nothing will really happen to it. I say that as I can't get my fingers through the bottom of it. I haven't brushed my hair today. Okay, shut the fuck up. But let me know if I should go even lighter than this because it is lighter. It's not black anymore. It's like a dark brown like I said. So let me know if I should go even lighter. But okay, I'm gonna stop rambling. I don't know why I just really wanted to ramble about my hair for a second. But okay, I'm gonna go. See ya.